Hello, welcome to Intuitive Insights. I am your host, Megan McDonough, your no BS woo woo coach. And today I have with me a special guest. So I do every other week, I'll do a podcast where I reflect on some insights that I've gained intuitively through my own experience or through readings, hopefully something that you can utilize in your life. And then I also interview other spiritual seekers, other intuitives, and people who are using intuition on a daily basis and how they came to learn how to trust and understand and listen to their intuition so that hopefully you can have some other angles besides mine into how to talk to your intuition, how to use it, how to work with it. So today, I have Scarlett, and she has been let me just say this. Scarlett, the Biz Hippie, which by the way, I absolutely love that title. I absolutely love it. So Scarlett, uh, one of the reasons that I'm drawn to having her here is because as a place where we talk a lot of woo-woo stuff, we do some spiritual exploration. We're still living in a very structured world that relies on things like, money and material items and tangible things. So sometimes us intuitives, us creatives, us woo-woo folk swim in those waters really well. But when it comes to the traditional, materialistic waters, we have a harder time treading water. And Scarlett had a wonderful insight into that and decided to merge her two sides of self to help us coaches, us intuitives, us humans who are trying to live a spiritual life, balance in the quote unquote real world. Scarlett, welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this conversation today because I think it is especially important, the work around money and building a really healthy, solid relationship with money is especially important for those of us that want to live a heart-led life, an intuitive life, a
Yeah.
more spiritual woo-woo-esque life. Like, it's actually even more vital for us to have this relationship with money instead of just pushing it away. So this is an important conversation.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you a little bio on Scarlett here. I would say that having what you just said is like it's like the two sides of self, the masculine and the feminine. The feminine being the spiritual and the masculine being the kind of go out and get money and provide. Not that you have to be a male to do that. I'm just saying it's the energy of it.
Mhm.
But let me give you a little background on Scarlett. So Scarlett is AKA the Biz Hippie, helps coaches master money and their own worth so that they can fully be supported by the work that they love. I mean, who doesn't love that? She uses a combination of tangible money management strategies and a variety of powerful coaching techniques. She helps her clients transform their mindset, which, by the way, is everything, right? And the relationship. So it's mindset and relationship to money and strategically making their vision happen and come to life. Yeah, because and I love how you say relationship because all things are energy, right? And so money is energy. And so what energy are you placing on the material energy of money or, the value of money? And then therefore, what is the relationship that you are well, you can speak to it better than I am right now, but I'm just saying, like, our relationships are energetic. So, what is the energetic relationship between you and money? Is that
Yeah.
how you're looking at it?
Yeah, I believe that we all have a relationship with money, whether we're aware of it or not. And our relationship with money is just these thoughts and ideas and beliefs that we really project onto our money. These ideas that we adopt from childhood and we just take them as inherently true in a lot of ways. Common ones are money doesn't grow on trees. Like, work isn't fun, right? Like, money is evil. If you have a lot of money, you're like a bad person, right? All of these things are so common and we just take them as inherently true. And these different beliefs or the story and narrative you learned around money growing up really shows up and impacts every single area of your life. And it
Right.
can be especially challenging when you're a more spiritual, woo woo, intuitive person and you really want to do work that you love and bring your service and your craft to the world, you can very easily have this perspective that, money isn't involved in that, or that if you do include money in the work that you do, it's going to change the feeling of the work you do, the joy behind it, the quality of it, or like you're harming other people by charging for your services because your intention is to help and serve them, right? So money plays into everybody's lives, and your relationship with money impacts every area of your life, but especially as a creative and intuitive person, your relationship with money can actually be the thing that's holding you back from really living the life you love, living the life you're meant to live, and even bringing some of your service to
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you were saying that, I was thinking like that it's more about like how you value your energy, and are you afraid of it? Or are you, because there's like sometimes there's you want to give your talents, but you're afraid of the potential of your gift or something, but then that gets translated into or pinned on money and
Right.
your relationship to it.
Yeah. And I think it's easy to, again, project these ideas
Right.
onto money and say, like, money makes things bad or evil or changes it. But really, money is a neutral thing. It's
Yeah.
it's very neutral. If anything, it's
Paper.
actually just right. It's paper. It's also an expander. Like, the
Yeah.
way that I look at it is money is one of the three actions that we can take in our life. We can spend our time, our energy, or our money. Like, those are the big three actions. And any time we spend time, energy, or money on anything in our life, we're taking action. And as a result, we are creating something. We're manifesting from that expenditure of time, energy, or money. And so, time, energy, and money, they're all just amplifiers, right? If you want something and you put time into it with an intention, with a purpose, you're just going to expand that intention because you poured time into it. It's the same with money. So whatever your relationship with money is, you add any amount of money to that, or you spend any amount of money, you're just expanding whatever it is your current relationship with money is. And
Yeah.
so, on the one hand, if you have like a negative relationship with money, like this can create money blocks, it can create a
Yep.
stagnant flow, it can create that misalignment, especially if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner and you really want to support yourself doing the work you love. But
Yeah.
also, we could flip this and really actually use money in a very powerful and impactful way. Like, I truly believe we can use money to manifest our best lives, our visions, but also to really change the world and create the kind of world that we want to live in.
Hmm. Preach. I love it. Okay, so how you came to be, I want to speak on that because everything you said I'm just loving, and I resonating with deeply. So let's go back to your history. So you started at a young age. You are young still, but at a young age, you were compared to me managing restaurants, and then you got your degree in business, accounting, finance. Right? That was your trajectory. Like, where was your mindset there? You know what I mean? And then
Oh, yeah.
I have a huge question after that. Go ahead.
Yes, growing up and like childhood all the way through young adulthood was singularly focused on success
Yeah.
and money. And like, I got to be perfect. I got to do it right. I got to check all the boxes. I got to get the straight A's. I got to get the job title. I got to get a certain amount of money in my savings. Like, I was trying to do life right and
Right.
win the game of life. That was my
Right.
only focus.
And then I saw so you graduated with your degree in business accounting finance, right? And then I put this down in quotes because I'm like, I gotta know what this is. The cannabis near death experience that made you shift your life. Talk to me, Goose. What is that?
Yes, yes. So what had happened was, again, I had been living my life driven by this idea of success, of achievement, of being better, of checking all the boxes. And honestly, like, I'm very good at that. I was doing a
Good.
really great job.
What a skill.
Yes, I'm highly skilled at like being a straight A student,
Yeah.
turning in all my assignments. And by the time I was 20, right, I had been managing restaurants for a couple of years. I was paying for college out of pocket myself, had zero student loans, zero debt. I also had $30,000 in savings. I was like maintaining my 3.9 GPA. Like I was really good at doing
Girl.
life right. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like on paper, everything looked perfect, but inside, I was basically dead inside. I literally felt like a zombie walking
Mm,
through my life, waiting for life to start, right? Like once I check all these boxes and cross some
mm,
magical finish line, then I can start, enjoying life or doing things that I want to do. But that just felt far off in the distance. And it felt like no matter how hard I worked, like I would just never get there. And so as a result, I was really going down this harsh downward spiral. I was depressed. I was suicidal. I was constantly having migraine headaches and was covered in head to toe eczema. And at the same time, I also like didn't realize that there was anything wrong. I was just like, this is just how life is supposed to be. We make money. We hate our lives. This is how you do it. And so I was in a toxic work environment. I was also in a relationship that I definitely should not have been in. And I had really disassociated from myself, but also disconnected from my friends and family, and was really just like self-isolating and was in this like workaholic spiral and was distracted from me and my life. And so one day I was leaving work very late at night, like around 2 a.m., and someone gave me a marijuana edible. And
mm.
there was totally a miscommunication that happened. And I just like took this whole edible, and then they look at me and they're like, "Where's your edible?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, I ate it." And they're like, "You ate the whole thing?" And I was like, "What? What do you mean? Like, you handed it to me. You didn't tell me
Yeah.
anything about this." So then I'm immediately like kind of freaking out because I'm also like a lightweight
Sure.
person,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we head over to the bar that's right around the corner from our restaurant. We like know them, so we get in late with them. And I'm like halfway through my beer and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I need to leave. Like I have to go home now." And so I drive to my boyfriend at the time's house, which was luckily like right down the street. It wasn't too far, and I get there and he's asleep and I'm laying there in bed and it's very late and I just start having all these crazy epiphanies about my life. And I very distinctly remember I was laying there in bed and I like felt my soul, my consciousness float up out of my body. And then I had all these like awarenesses of, wow, really what I want is something different. Like, I don't want to be in this scenario. And when I tell this story to people at the time, I said, like, yeah, I floated up so high. Like, I saw Buddha and I just kept going. Like, I went past the Buddha. Like, that's how high I went. And then I like floated back down into my body. And then I went like past my body, like out of my back, and had these other like epiphanies in this other direction. And then I came back into my body and I had this thought and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is happening right now is that I am having seizures and I'm dying and this is my like death experience where your life flashes before your eyes and you have all these epiphanies." And I'm very young. I'm very high. I don't really know anything about marijuana because it was always just something that was hidden and shameful and drugs are
Yeah.
bad. So I also was just like, of course I can overdose on this drug. Like nothing has ever told me otherwise that this is like a potentially safe drug. And so I genuinely believed, oh my gosh, I'm having seizures. I'm dying. This is the end.
Mhm.
And it was so scary and it was so terrifying. And in that moment, I'm laying there next to this guy who doesn't even speak English. And because
That's a fun detail you totally glossed over.
I know, I said I had no business being in this relationship. We didn't speak the same language.
What did he speak?
He spoke Chinese because I had daddy issues.
I'm sorry. Wait, time out. Time out. Time out. Sorry. Hold up. Hold up. I cannot pass this by.
Okay.
Wait, how okay, hold on a second. Because now I'm imagining you tripping your balls off and trying to communicate with someone who doesn't speak English and only speaks Chinese.
Yes. I was not communicating with
How
him at
long
this
have you
point.
been how long had you been together?
a while, like a couple months, really. It wasn't like a short-term thing. I mean, it kind of was. Okay, so here, I'll give you the quick backstory on this. Growing up, I had a Chinese stepdad from the ages of 7 to like
Okay.
14.
Did you speak some Chinese?
I took Mandarin in high school,
Okay, okay, so you
and
can communicate.
a little bit, it was like I spoke a very little amount of Chinese. I also, all the restaurants I worked in were like high-end sushi restaurants. So,
Oh, okay, okay.
like,
Well, that's
everybody
not
was
Chinese,
Asian.
but
Well, everybody that worked there was Chinese, even though it was like a
really?
Japanese restaurant. Yes. So I could be like, we're out of rice. We need more vegetables. Your mother's vagina. Like, I had all the essentials down in terms of speaking
Your mother's
Chinese.
vagina is such a common phrase that I throw out at restaurants.
Yes. Well, you're speaking with the chefs in the back. The Chinese slang is just, yeah, I had a pretty wild teenage years there. I spent most of my time hanging
I
out
worked
with
at a lot of
older Chinese
restaurants.
men.
Yeah, I worked at a lot of restaurants. Not there weren't ever any Chinese, coworkers, but, some Japanese and lots of, you know, Latin. So I have a hodgepodge of, server Latin that I know or server,
Yes.
Spanish.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, he knew a tiny bit of English. I knew a tiny bit of Chinese, and a lot of our relationship happened through Google Translate. Really. That's what happened. I had no business being in this relationship.
This is so good. I'm like,
No
I'm reading a
business.
sketch in my head right now while we're talking. Like,
My gosh. I could go into a whole other side tangent.
did you like Google Translate your experience to Chinese?
He was not part of this experience at all. He I showed up, and he was like woke up and was like, "Ooh, let's canoodle." And I was like, "Screw you, go to bed." So he just went to sleep, and I was like having my own experience this whole time.
Amazing.
I
This
know,
is amazing.
I share this story on a lot of podcasts. I feel like not everybody gets like the full Asian background story.
Yeah,
So
that was like a
you're
beautiful
welcome.
gem. You just kind
Yes.
of boom over. And I was like, no, no, back up, back up. We're going
Oh my
into this.
gosh. That could honestly be its whole own podcast
Oh my
episode, is
God,
like
it's so
all my
good.
relationship drama from when I
I
was
had
younger.
actually, it's so funny. I had that you said that made me think of this. So I had just had this, like, this is my 20s. I just had like the worst blind date thing of my life. Like I was just like, I was at a point in my life where I was like, I'll just say yes. Cause like, obviously no isn't working. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm
Mm.
not like finding anyone. So I'm like, whatever, let's try anything. And one of them was a blind date that was like, had a makeup, a breakup, and a makeup and a breakup again. I was just like, what in God's name is going on? Like this guy is hammered. I don't know what he told me he loved me. We just met. I don't know what he want. He thinks I'm stealing his money. I'm like, I don't even know your middle name. Like I don't know what's happening. So I was telling her this story and she was said to me, this is my 20s, so I was drinking then. But she goes, you know what, Megan? It's like God asked you, do you want the perfect man or like a shitload of writing material? You stepped away, had a whiskey, smoked a cigarette, and was like, fuck it, writing material. I
Yes.
love it. And it's like, and I was, they're gifts. They're beautiful gifts because they keep people
Yeah.
entertained. All right, sorry.
Yes.
All right, let's get
Totally.
back. So you've had this experience. Let's get back
Yes.
on the podcast
Let's
track.
refocus here. And also too, I'll add, like, your romantic relationships totally bleed into your relationship with money. So there's big
It's the
overlap,
same.
right?
They're the
Yes.
same. They're
Right.
the same.
So we can look at this relationship that I was in, and that gives you a
Yeah.
really accurate picture of, like how I was living my life. I had zero self-trust, zero self-love, zero self-confidence, was just going with the flow of life and not taking control and ownership over my life in any way at all.
Yeah.
And so I'm laying there in the rock bottom of my life, covered in head to toe eczema, in my boyfriend's apartment, who he also lives with his brother and his parents.
Stop
So
it.
we're
Stop
all
it.
there.
Stop. This is so good. We're gonna have to have a whole nother like just coffee talk about this. Really, it's so
You're
good.
getting so much more out of me than most people do. It's really great.
Wait, so
And
wait, stop. I gotta remember.
no.
So his parents and his brother were in the house when all this happened?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But they weren't
Yes.
part of it. I was in my own world. So
Oh my God, this
I
is so good. Go on.
Right, but I also, like, didn't live there. At the same time, I had, like, convinced myself that I was homeless because I didn't wanna live at home with my family, and I also didn't wanna live here, so I just, like,
Bopped around.
card yeah, bopped around, had stuff in my car. So, okay, I'm having these epiphanies about my life. I believe that I'm dying. Like,
Yeah.
this is the end. I
You
am
might have had
having
a little
seizures.
LSD mixed up in that
I don't
gummy
even
or
know what
something, or
happened, but
mushroom or something, because that sounds like pretty intense.
it was the end of my life, really. And I'm laying there at the end of my life, thinking that this is the end, covered in eczema next to this guy in this apartment at
Yeah.
4 a.m. And I had this harsh debate with myself. And I was like, oh man, I think I'm just going to like lay here and die. Like, that's what's going to
Like,
happen.
it's
And then
that's just what we do.
that's it. Like,
We
and
don't
then
have
I
enough
had this
energy to, like, get it together right
it
now, so
was
let's just
so
lay here.
hard. Yeah, like that really feels like the easier choice. But then this other voice came up and I'll never forget it. And this other voice said, well, you know what? If I'm going to die, then I do not want to die here in this bed with this
That is
person in
fair.
this
That is
apartment
fair. It's
in
so
this
fair. With
room.
his parents and his brother in the other room.
This is not it. This is not the place to die. So I get up. It was so hard. It wasn't like the easy choice or the obvious choice, but I get up. Get out of that bed, get out of that room, go outside, get into my car at 4 a.m. And I call my mother sobbing on the phone. And I'm like, I took too much marijuana and I'm dying and I'm having seizures and like sobbing. And also, I had never told my mom that I was like smoking weed. I had been keeping all that a secret. And so, really, that was the first time that I reached out for help, admitted that there was something wrong, admitted to like this shameful, bad, wrong thing that I was keeping a secret, like admitted that I wasn't perfect. And honestly, it was like the first time in my life that I had really taken decisive action for me towards what I
Mm,
want instead of being passive and indecisive and just letting
yeah,
life happen to me.
I love that. So then okay, so then from there, you found your way into life coaching, into yoga, into Reiki, right?
Yeah, so
And
it took me
yeah,
a couple years to like actually.
make the transition kind of.
Yeah, it was like I was in a deep pit that I had dug myself in, and I had to first climb out of that pit and get on some solid land. And then from there, that's when I really started the work that I do now, like life coaching, Reiki, yoga instructor, traveling and attending retreats. But there was also a couple years of like rediscovering myself. Who am I? What do I want? How can I rebuild self
Mm,
trust and self love and self confidence? Because if you let yourself go down such a harsh downward spiral and be put into really dangerous, bad situations, you kind of lose trust with yourself because you're like, how could I let myself put up with that? How could I let myself
yeah,
just be in those scenarios? So I really had to rebuild my relationship with myself first. And then once I did that, that's when I, flipped my switch to life coaching and personal growth and really bringing the lessons that I learned to others and serving others.
yeah. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, yes, and then you spoke about how and then I talked about this a little at the beginning, but in this space, which I would say is very feminine, like the kind of, the self-healing space, it's very feminine, and then the kind of corporate financial world is masculine energetically, not gender-wise, energetically. You saw that hole, you saw that kind of that need for more structure. So it's like as a yogi, the Shiva and the Shakti work together to create the structure and flow. And you said and I was reading in your bio that a friend of yours was having, or was it multiple friends, or how did you kind of zone in on this is a series of special skills that I have that could really help facilitate, empowerment in this space?
Yes. And so much of it came from my own journey because the whole like first chapter of my life was very much masculine success
Yeah.
focused. And basically I got my bachelor's degree in business management, accounting, and finance. And then 1 month after graduating with that, I got my life coaching certification. And I took a total 180 in my focus. I went from managing restaurants, wearing 4-inch heels for 10 hours a day, full face of makeup, blazers, false eyelashes, and contacts,
Yeah.
to, okay, now I'm being a life coach and becoming a yoga instructor and I wear flowy pants and no makeup and barefoot outside. So I went from full biz mode to full hippie mode. And that's really where the biz hippie comes from is I went full masculine to full feminine flow and started running my business really just focused on personal growth and personal development and building that self-trust and self-love and self-confidence because that was a huge part of my own journey. And if anything, I really like rejected the masculine energy entirely, the money, the success, the business
Hmm.
aspects. And then it was about a year into my business, I was having a conversation with a friend who was also a life coach who had a full time job and would make good money, decent money with her full time job, but still felt like it was never enough. Month after month, she felt like she was just barely scraping by, was kind of living paycheck to paycheck, and was like, if I can't feel financially supported with my current full time job, how could I ever be financially supported with my coaching business? And I was like, oh, wait a second. I actually have a lot of skills to help you with this. And that's when I brought the money management skill sets that I had
Hmm.
learned with the coaching modalities and the mindset work and the inner healing work together to really help this person. And then it's been 4 years now since that moment where I've really been going deeper and deeper into this work to how can we find this really solid and balanced and aligned relationship with money in a way that impacts every single area of our life so that we can really step into true, deep abundance.
Yes. And so what is this empowered abundance program? Is that kind of what you're speaking to right now? Is that like the root system for this program?
Yes, yes. So that is my signature 6 month program that walks people through a total transformation with money from the inside out. And in
Mm,
Empowered Abundance, we combine what I like to call the internal and the external sides of money. So we
yeah.
do deep healing work around your relationship, your mindset, like what creates your money story, what creates how you've been creating your life, how you've been manifesting your financial situation and bringing a lot of awareness
Mhm.
around that. And then bringing in the tangible awareness, learning to manage and track your money like on paper in real life so you can see what is actually happening, so you can be in control of your money instead of feeling like your money is in control of you. And then from there, we take it to the next level. We get really clear on your vision and the life you want to live and what your best, most abundant life looks like. And then we use your money as a tool to bring that vision into reality. So not
Mm.
only is it learning to manifest more money, it's about using your money to manifest the life that you want to live.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So you're really pulling in the masculine and the feminine energy with both, on both sides.
Yes, absolutely. Through all phases of it, too. Like in the beginning, where we're bringing awareness to where you're currently at, we're doing the internal work, but also the tangible masculine work. And then when it comes to the visioning, we do both, right? We do the internal, what's your vision? Like tap into the energy, make it really potent and powerful, and like up leveled affirmations that actually work. And then we make it tangible too. And I think this is a magical thing that I've never seen anyone else do when it comes to manifesting, but it works is
Mhm.
when you get your vision's finances on paper. When you don't just say, like, this is the life I want to live, but when you build the financial blueprint of that vision and you can see clearly, like, oh, how much does it actually cost for me to live that life? Like, that's really powerful because now you have
Mm.
a very clear target that you're aiming for and you can increase your belief in your ability to hit those numbers and then work steadily towards it and bring more and more of that vision to life.
I love that. I just realized I haven't asked you my 2 favorite questions that I ask everybody.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you now. I mean, I feel like we've touched on it a little bit, but I'm always intrigued by and inspired by um, what the answer is. So everyone's individual answer. So how do you define intuition?
I believe that intuition is our inner knowing and
Mhm.
our inner sense of, it could just be a general inner sense, but I think when you have a very powerful intuition, it's an inner knowing of what is truly in alignment for you. right?
Mm,
And I think when you are just kind of starting to cultivate your intuition, you don't necessarily know if it's aligned or not. You might not fully trust
right.
it, but it's just like this sense in general. But as you like cultivate a deeper and deeper relationship with yourself, your intuition becomes even more powerful, and your intuition aligns with your highest self and your vision and really like the life you want to live. And so your intuition becomes an inner knowing and a guidance system that is in alignment with the life that you want to live. And I think in order to cultivate that, it requires deep levels of self trust.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, how do you use that in your life? And how did you, I'm assuming that through your story, you weren't using it. You were using the external navigation system, and your come to Jesus cannabis near death experience moment, come to Buddha, I should say, is,
Yeah.
was the flip for you, it seems, and speak to this if I'm, assuming too much, but the flip from external navigation to internal navigation.
Yes, that I would say that that is totally accurate. I think that another way to look at intuition is like your internal guidance system. And, you know, earlier on, before I had my come past Buddha moment, my internal guidance system was rooted in stories of not enoughness, lack, scarcity, running away from failure, running away from not being good enough, right? And those were the beliefs and the narratives that was driving my actions, and that was my guidance system, was external validation, like I need to get a certain number of dollars in my bank account and then I will be worthy and deserving of receiving love, right?
Mm,
Versus having that switch flip and starting to actually peel back the layers of this misaligned guidance system and say, oh, okay, well, what's actually important to me? What do I really care about? And again, have that internal guidance and practicing not needing this external validation in order to be worthy and deserving of receiving love, and instead supplying myself with that love and rewriting my stories, rewriting my beliefs, and rewriting my internal narrative about the world so that my internal guidance system, like I could actually trust it and ensure that that guidance system was actually in alignment with the life I want to live, as opposed to just being the stories and narratives that I inherited from childhood.
right. Or we're taught we're correct, quote unquote. Right.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question before we leave, and maybe you have something for this, maybe you don't. But what's like one or two, three if you're feeling fancy, but just something, a quick practical nugget that everyone can use in their day-to-day life to switch if they're not loving the relationship they're in with money, to, you know, flip a bitch and recalibrate.
Yeah, so there are three foundational steps to really transform your relationship with money. And you can start implementing these now wherever you're at. I love to say all the time, it's not about an amount of money, it's about your relationship with money. In fact, the sooner you change your relationship with money, the better you'll feel in your life. I think sometimes we're stuck in the money hustle, like, I'm going to work really hard and get more money. And then once I do, then I'll be happy. Like, then I'll feel free. Then I'll feel abundant. That's not true. You have to create abundance now from where you're currently at with the money that you have. Otherwise, again, money's an expander. It's just going to expand more of your current financial situation, whatever that is. And so the first step to step into abundance now is to bring awareness to your current relationship with money and start to shift your mindset around money, like doing the internal work of recognizing what are your foundational beliefs around money. What did you learn about money growing up, and how is this showing up in your day-to-day life? What are the things you say yes to purchase? What are the things
Yeah.
you say no
Yeah.
to, and
Yeah.
why? How do you feel about money when you check your bank account,
Writing these
right?
down. Right. Go
Yes.
ahead.
So
Yes.
that's number one, is bringing awareness to your relationship with money, recognizing this doesn't have to be inherently true, and starting to shift the mindset around money into one rooted in abundance instead of like scarcity and not enoughness. The second step, and this is just as important, is to learn to manage and track your money, right? Because this
Yes.
is, again, we need that tangible piece to bring it into reality. And also, I have found that learning to manage and track your money and see your money clearly actually can enhance your money mindset, because most of our money stress comes from not seeing our money clearly. Our
Yes.
money is like a big question mark. It's just floating up in our head, and we're doing all this mental math, and we don't really know what's going on. And it's that unknown that creates most of our money stress. So when you
Yeah.
get your money down on paper and you can see clearly what's actually happening, it really eliminates around 70% of your money stress, even if your financial situation hasn't changed,
Right.
because now you can see it clearly. And because you can see it clearly, you can do something about it. It puts the control
Mhm.
back in your hands. So that's number two, is learning to manage and track your money so you can be the one in control of your money instead of feeling like your money is in control of you.
Yeah.
And then the third step is then learning to use your money strategically in alignment with what you want, in
Mm.
alignment with the life you want to live. Because again, your money is a powerful tool for manifestation. You can wield your money intentionally to create the life you want to live. So, not only are we talking about manifesting money, we're talking about manifesting with your money. So, if you can see your money clearly, if you can feel solid, safe, and confident with your money, if you have that abundance mindset with your money, and you spend your money in alignment with your vision, then you bring that vision into reality.
I love it. I love it. You've just totally inspired me, and I agree with and I also found when I track my money physically and I do that, and when I do the physical aspect, the energetic aspect of money starts to flow,
Totally.
you know?
Yes.
So, when you're working in the physical, the energetic happens, and when you working with the energetic, like, what's the root cause system here energetically? What's the root of my relationship? Then you get more, inspired to do the tangible. Oh my god, I had this visual when you were talking about the relationship with money and, like, like, you're unhappy. I was like, "Oh my god," I just had this visual of, like, a sketch of, like, couples counseling, and, like, one person is like, "I don't feel seen," but it's their partner's money. Anyway,
Yes.
in my
Yes, exactly.
money's just sitting there like, "I got nothing." Like, you know what I mean? It's like, doesn't speak. It's whatever you project onto it, you know?
Yes. Right, right. And it's like up to you. It's up to you to take control of your money and change this relationship, because it's not going to change until you take these steps and do something about it, right? Like no amount of money you make is going to change this. I've had conversations with people making tons and tons of money. They can still feel exactly the same. You can still feel stressed. You can still feel like not enough. And so abundance has to start from within, and it can start now, today. And in fact, the best time for it to start is today.
I love that. Okay, I cannot top that. So, Scarlett, how do and it's 11:11 on my end, so I think we are
Woo!
good. So,
Yes.
how do people find you? How do they get the Empowered Abundance program? Information on that? How can people work with you?
Yes, there are many ways that you can connect with me, but the easiest way is I love to offer, anytime I do a podcast, a
Yeah,
free abundance activation session, which is a
love it.
free 30-minute session where we're going to
Mhm.
deep dive into your current relationship with money, what is keeping you where you are now, and what needs to shift in order to step into your next level of abundance. There's also an opportunity to explore continued support if you're ready to totally upgrade and up level. So you can book that free deep dive session with me on my website, thebizhippie.com/abundance. I
I
have
love
other
it.
ways and other fun things you can connect with me with too, but I won't say them because I don't want to overwhelm your brain. But I'm sure Megan will put them in the show notes
I'll
for
put
me
everything
too.
in the show notes for sure. But that's a perfect starting place. But yeah, I'll put all your information in the show notes, and oh my god, I'm so glad we met. This
Yes,
was
me
wonderful.
too.
You've very much inspired me, and I love the work you're doing. Just keep doing it and keep expanding it. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me on your show today. This was great.
Yes, thank you so much for coming. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks with some more insights and hopefully a lot more inspiration.